Audi has just revealed its third dedicated e-tron electric vehicle, the 2025 Q6 e-tron, but this is actually only the second model to ride on a platform shared with a Porsche. Let's take a closer look. Slotting in between the original e-tron, now known as the Q8 e-tron, and the Q4 e-tron, which is the Audi equivalent to the Volkswagen ID4, the Q6 e-tron rides on the all-new PPE platform co-developed with Porsche. The recently introduced Macan Electric was the first fruit of this labor, but now that brings the platform count under the Audi umbrella to 4 platforms. Yes, you heard that right. The e-tron GT still rides on a bespoke platform shared with the Porsche Taycan. The Q4 e-tron, of course, rides on the same platform as the ID4. Then the Q8 e-tron rides on an older platform that's not really shared with anything else here in the US or North America. And then there's this new platform, so 4 platforms. But of course, that is not the long-term plan. Other than the e-tron GT, which like the Taycan is expected to ride on its existing platform for the foreseeable future, all other future Audi electric models will ride on PPE. That is until the next new platform comes around at the end of the decade. I'll touch on that in just a second. So what does PPE enable for the Q6 e-tron, and why did it take so long to debut? The answer lies in the software. It's pretty well documented at this point that the in-house software division that was utilized to oversee this project hit a few bumps in the road during development. The goal for PPE was to enable the premium models riding on that platform to be more easily updatable and upgradable over the air. This will be enabled thanks to a new electronic architecture called end-to-end, or stylized as E-cubed. But it wasn't just that, it was also to be more prepared for the scalable electric platform they're developing for the end of the decade, known as SSP. This one is expected to be used by all Volkswagen Group companies, but because PPE was delayed, SSP has also been delayed, like I said, to sometime closer to the end of the 2020s. But I digress. PPE is an 800-volt architecture, so just like the Macan Electric and even the e-tron GT and the Taycan, the Q6 e-tron will have some of the fastest recharging times in the industry. The 100 kilowatt-hour CATL battery can be recharged from 10 to 80% in approximately 21 minutes at a peak DC fast charge rate of 270 kilowatts. If fast charging with a 400-volt plug instead, the battery will actually split into 2 banks and will recharge each bank separately at 135 kilowatts of charging speed. Both halves of the battery are brought to the same level first when charging, so one bank will come up and hit this same level, and then the rest of the charge will be done at the same rate, so it's equally filled up in both banks. It's a pretty neat solution to the whole 400-volt versus 800-volt conundrum. Now, the onboard AC charger for slower level 2 public charging and at-home level 2 charging can do so at a peak rate of about 9.6 kilowatts. Not exactly class-leading, but not terrible either. CCS will be the plug of choice at launch, but sometime next year, NACS will take the stand. In the US, the Q6 e-tron will be launched with 2 variants, Q6 e-tron Quattro and SQ6 e-tron. These are both dual-motor all-wheel drive variants with more powerful electric motors in the back, giving the Q6 a rear-drive bias. Sportback and single-motor rear-wheel drive models are coming later. The Quattro makes 422 horsepower or 456 horsepower with launch control, while the sportier SQ6 e-tron will do 483 horsepower or 510 horsepower using launch control. The 0 to 60 time could be as fast as 4.2 seconds in that model, but range has not been announced just yet. They have said, however, that the Q6 e-tron Quattro should be able to hit exactly 300 miles of range when the EPA does release its final number. They've only based this estimate on preliminary evaluation, so stay tuned to get that official number for both models. Inside is probably the best execution of Audi's latest design ethos, at least to my eye. It's still very screen focused, but it is the first Audi model to get a secondary passenger display, just like the latest Porsche models. But the familiar tropes are all here. We have the digital cockpit display, a large touchscreen for the MMI system, as well as a ton of piano black plastic, but we do have a new user experience that is based on Android Automotive, which means you'll have Google Assistant built in and Google Maps integrated right into the software. But if you know Audi, you know they've been using that for digital cockpit for quite some time now. There is a new augmented reality head-up display, as well as Hey Audi voice controls that are backed by AI. That just means the system is going to be able to understand natural language, all of those variations in how people talk, a lot better than the more rudimentary systems of the past. It also means that it will adapt to your specific speaking style. And don't worry, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are still here, as is a new ambient lighting system that can be coordinated to pulse with the music coming out of the Bang & Olufsen stereo. Dimensionally, the Q6 e-tron is 6 inches shorter than the Q8 e-tron, but is actually more spacious on the inside. If you have the second row seat up, you'll have 30.2 cubic feet of space, but fold that down and you'll have about 60, which gives you 4 more cubes of space than that Q8 e-tron. So now that it's finally here, what do you think of the 2025 Audi Q6 e-tron? Does it move the needle forward for mid-size premium electric SUVs? And does the PPE platform provide a solid alternative to the eGMPs of the world? Sound off in the comments below.